Let's kick things off with last night's Met Gala. Now, the magical night when the world's most fashionable cultural icons try to figure out how the they're gonna fit their spiky headdress into an Uber pool.
On fashion's biggest night, garden-inspired looks on full display, right in bloom with this year's dress code, the Garden of Time.
Fans tried to figure out which star was fully covered head to toe in a floor-length beige umbrella.
Now, this is water singer Tyla. So many people talking about this. She had to be carried up the stairs of the Met. The dress, which was made of sand, was simply too heavy.
Okay. A dress made of sand is super impressive. Who are you wearing? Coney Island. Thank you very much. I like how she had 4 people carry her up the stairs. I bet Joe Biden saw that and turned to the Secret Service like, let's just do that from now on. But the true glam heads weren't paying attention to the Met Gala because the real action last night was in Moscow, where Vladimir Putin held an opulent inauguration that just screamed, definitely not a dictator for life.
We continue to watch live pictures from Moscow, where Vladimir Putin begins his 5th term as Russian president. The strongman has already been in office for nearly a quarter century. Putin's new term doesn't end until 2030, and at that point, he'll be eligible to run for another 6 years if he wants. It has been a lavish and opulent ceremony there in Moscow.
Come on, Vlad! You can't show up to all this in a suit. Come on. They got the wizards and the golden walls. You're walking in like you're late from the office, man. How do you think Merlin over here feels, huh? He's like, I went full Hogwarts over here, now I feel like a dick, Vlad. You act like you don't even want to be here, but this is your whole thing. I mean, I'm not criticizing you. You're the one with the poison, but still, we could have done this over Zoom. Let's move on to America's Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump. It's now week 4 of the Trump trial, and boy, time flies when you're constantly falling asleep in court, doesn't it? But I can guarantee you Trump didn't nap during today's testimony, which brings us to our latest installment of America's Most Tremendously Wanted.
The whole thing is a scam.
Today was the biggest day yet in the trial of Donald Trump because today, Stormy Daniels herself took the stand. And you could tell from the start that the coverage was going to be delicate.
Right now, in the courtroom, our reporters in there are sending us notes, updates every second that they can. And Mr. Trump's defense attorney, Susan Nichols, is saying, quote, we're informed the second witness today will be Stormy Daniels. We want to renew our objection to her testifying, particularly about any details of any sexual acts. That is Mr. Trump's attorney. The prosecutors is also saying, quote, in terms of the sexual act, it will be very basic. I can't believe I have to read this on television. It's not going to involve any descriptions.
Better you than me, Jake.
It's not going to involve any descriptions of anything in particular. So
just read it.
Oh, come on, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. Acting like you're too good for this, like you've never seen genitalia before, all right? You're very prudish for people whose names sound like porn names. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash in State of the Union. Yeah, oh. They're gonna smear Kanish all over your Wolf Blitzer, you know? Now, the crux of this case is that Trump allegedly paid Stormy Daniels hush money to cover up their affair just before the 2016 election. And today, Stormy Daniels told us exactly what all that money was hushing, starting from the very beginning of the night Donald Trump invited her for dinner in his hotel room.
Daniels testified that when she first entered Trump's hotel suite, he greeted her wearing silk pajamas. She says she joked that he stole Hugh Hefner's pajamas and asked him to change, which he did. According to Daniels, when she asked Trump about his wife, he admitted that he and Melania sleep in separate beds. After speaking with Trump for a while, Daniels told Trump he was rude and didn't know how to have a conversation. Someone should spank you with that magazine, she told him. She says Trump then rolled up the magazine and, quote, gave me a look. So she took it from him, told him to turn around, and swatted him on the butt.
That poor magazine. Hasn't print media suffered enough? Spanking, silk pajamas, separate beds. These revelations are so uncomfortably personal that even Drake is like, ooh, sucks to be that guy. But if that stuff made you uncomfortable, hold on, it gets worse.
Daniels testified that at one point prior to them having sex, Trump told her she reminded him of his daughter Ivanka, saying they were both smart, blonde, beautiful women who people underestimated.
Hashtag girl dad. Look, I know it's old news to us that Donald Trump wants to smear-tarnish his daughter, but remember, the court worked hard to find an unbiased jury, which means there's at least one person on there who was in a coma for the last 10 years. And I bet that guy is losing his mind today. Are you hearing this? Are you hearing this? That's the president and his daughter and a porn star. Oh, wait till my friend Prince hears about this. You know what? Maybe the actually damning part of all of this is how Trump got Stormy to have sex with him. According to Daniels, he suggested that she could be on The Apprentice. Later, he stripped his underwear and told her, quote, "This is the only way you're getting out of the trailer park." Yikes. So, Trump isn't just a bad lover who thinks talking about his daughter is an acceptable form of foreplay. He's a creep who dangles career advancement over women to get them to have sex with him. Because, Lord knows, they're not in it for the 2 minutes of thrusting. And personally, I find it disappointing. I mean, who would have thought a man found liable for sexual assault would coerce a woman into sex? I mean, honestly, it's like you can't even trust sex offenders these days. For more on today's testimony, let's go live to the courthouse with our own Troy Iwata. Troy. What's the mood down at the courthouse today?
I would say the mood is uncomfy. Like, I was so perturbed, I made myself feel better by remembering that time I watched Saltburn with my parents. That's how bad it was today. But I gotta tell you, it's pretty brutal hearing someone's dumb, horny man moves read aloud in the cold light of a courtroom.
I'm sorry, dumb, horny man moves?
You know, the things that you say and do right before you have sex with someone for the first time? The sexy stuff that you do in the moment that no one should ever rehash? You know, the faces and phrases like, "Your lips look like two big worms."
Oh, okay, well, I mean, some people's man moves are pretty solid, I bet.
Okay, you keep telling yourself that, big guy. Like, what's your go-to move when you get to the bedroom?
Oh, well, I don't know if this is the time or the place. One time I said, "Oh, righty then." Just like Ace Ventura, but it was a good reference because we had both just seen Ace Ventura. I mean, she hadn't, but I had explained the movie to her, and it was kind of a sexy moment for both of us.
Cool.
Troy, what's your point? That testifying about people's man moves should have no place in the legal system?
No, I think the opposite. I think every trial should have it. You know, imagine if every time you committed a crime, the prosecutors could put your ex on the stand and describe your most mediocre hookup in grave detail. And then a stenographer in a cardigan wrote it all down, and then Jake Tapper broadcasted on national television.
Yeah, frankly, okay, I see you. That is a clear point. I mean, you put it that way, I would be the most law-abiding citizen in history.
Exactly, yeah. Right now, I'm about 50-50 on committing crimes. Okay. Like I can see myself counterfeiting stamps. But if it meant I'd have to sit through a retelling of how one night I got on all fours and I said, "Tell me you're proud of me," I wouldn't even get a parking ticket. I wouldn't even own a car. This might be the greatest crime deterrent in history.
So you're saying we should just air all of Trump's dirty details in an attempt to lower crime rates?
No, Jordan, I am asking you to tell me you're proud of me.
Oh, righty then. Troy Iwata, everybody.